This is Big History.
Big History is a cross between social studies and science, and instead of learning about just events in human history, you learn about from the very beginning and how they were created to make those events.
So Big History kind of focuses on the big picture of things instead of focusing on little events that have happened.
And it helps you understand more in depth how these events that happen today can connect and why they happen because of the past events.
So Big History looks at history over a span of 13.8 billion years, from the Big Bang until today. And for me, what I find most fascinating about this course is that it looks at history in a way that's interdisciplinary. Typically, when our students go through schooling, it's very truncated. They go to math and science and social studies and ELA, and they don't see the natural connections that exist between all these subjects. Well, Big History bridges that gaps to show the interconnectedness between the multiple disciplines that they attend on a daily basis, and it makes their learning a little bit more seamless. In addition, Big History helps our students to become more divergent in their thinking, and they'll be able to solve the problems that confront them in both today's society and in the future.
We stay on one threshold and study that, and then we move on to the next one, and it just gets more complex.
Threshold 1, the Big Bang.
Threshold 2, stars light up.
Threshold 3, new chemical elements.
Threshold 4, Earth and the solar system.
Threshold 5, life on Earth. Threshold 6, collective learning.
Threshold 7, agriculture.
Threshold 8, the modern revolution.
Threshold 9, predicting and solving the problems of the future.
So one of the interesting things about Big History is that it's a mixture of science and social studies, and that we do things as projects to show how it's different. Like in regular social studies classes, we just learn. In Big History, you get to be more involved with the experiment. One of the things that we did is that we went out to a football field and we stood out on the yard lines saying which threshold took place in the amount of time. So the Big Bang took place at the first yard line, and it went all the way up to the 5th. And then human evolution is right there at the 99th yard line, which means that there was a whole time frame in between that took place, like thresholds 1 through 7 that are before humans were even ever created.
And we learned about how elements and things collided to form bigger, more complex either planets or stars. We walked around the room and we had to link arms with somebody, and we were individually we were supposed to be like an element, and then we created bigger elements and bigger complex things by linking arms. He kind of taught us that each element had to collide to make bigger things, and that they didn't kind of just roam around space by themselves.
One assignment we've discussed in class was the Columbian Exchange.
The assignment was that we randomly got assigned a food or disease, and we had to discuss if we thought it was brought to the New World from the Old World, or if it was from the Old World brought to the New World. This assignment was interesting to us because we got to see the differences visually between which ingredients and diseases were more important than others to the New and Old World.
Now we're studying Age of Exploration, which is Threshold 8, and that kind of includes explorers and how they discover the world and their inventions.
We do a comic life thing. It's we make comic books, and throughout all the thresholds, and each threshold has its own page in the comic book, and we get to customize it with pictures and stuff.
My perspective has changed when I look at world events now, because I look at things from the bigger picture and not so on focusing on one thing.
In social studies class, you'd learn about Egyptian societies and Aztec societies, but in Big History, you learn about how these societies actually became to form.
When I look at a modern day event that's happening in the news now, I look at it differently. Like, for example, there was an avalanche in Mount Everest, I believe, where it lets me to understand how it happened, how the earthquake causes avalanche and change in the mountains, and how the mountains were formed through plate tectonics. So it allows me to see it and understand it better.
Instead of just looking at just how the society is, you look at how it was created actually by going down to the basics from the Big Bang.
If we're the next generation, we can probably make differences and predict the future so we can make the world better.
We think of history as a timeline, a series of events stretching a few thousand years into the past. It's time to think bigger. Instead of a line, imagine a web of infinite connections interacting over billions of years, linked together to create everything we've ever known. Our universe, our planet, and us. History, as we know it, is about to get big.
这就是大历史。
Esta es la historia grande.
זה היסטוריה גדולה.
Big history! Yeah.